So now, we move on. Mickaël Jézégou, he comes from France. He's a tree expert and veteran tree expert. He's going to talk about Brittany's veteran trees behind nature and culture.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for EAC invitations, especially Stéphanie Gasperini, Yonko, Katarzyna, and Jonathan Cooking. As a preamble, sorry for my French-English accent, which all requires certainly some concentrations on your part. I've been interested by ancient tree for over 25 years. I have written several books on veteran tree in Brittany. I'm freely inspired by the work of the French School of Anthropology, in particular Philippe Descola writings. These talks invite to take another look at veteran trees. Perhaps, do you know Brittany? With from Asterix and Obelix, a famous French comic strips. Brittany is a region in the west of Europe, a peninsula jutting out into the Atlantic Ocean. In the comic strips, the author Uderzo described Brittany as a woodland landscape with lots of veteran oaks. Today, we can still say that Brittany has one of the highest density of veteran trees in France. These trees have been observed for several centuries. There are many descriptions of them. We can mention the Kervernay oak in the peak. It was photographed at the beginning of the 20th century. Legend said it was planted under King Charlemagne in the 9th century. It's the legend. In the photo, the tree does not appear to be vigorous. Since then, the tree has shown its resilience. It's the same tree. This testimony of resilience is interesting from a scientific point of view. Other legends tell original trees like a yew. According to 18th century legend, we had the mother yew of the world, the one on the right, the tallest and the biggest in the world. Some, like this chestnut tree, were protected as a natural monument by the national law at the beginning of the 20th century. Legend had said it was planted in the year 800. Who are these trees? Where can they be found? Here, I will propose you a brief typology. The oldest tree, oaks and chestnut, are found in agroforestry landscape, in the bocage or orchards. For example, the oak of Tronc-Joli in left is reputed to be 1,000 years old. Ted Green, the famous veteran man, said it was one of the 5 oldest oaks in Europe. Since Ted's arrival, we have achieved something quite remarkable. We've moved this tree to Windsor. Incredible. Ted has created an arboretum of the oldest oak in Europe in Windsor, so he has grafted several of these oaks onto English oaks. So I have posted in some graft from this oak, now this oak grows in Windsor. A lot of veteran trees are pollards, like this chestnut in right. In the peak from the early 20th century, he is carrying more than 30 children. Another category of ancient tree is yew. You know certainly, I love yew. Yew is a funeral tree found along the Atlantic Ocean from Scotland to Galicia, associated with the Celtic civilizations. A tree with a lot of symbolism around death, eternal life, and the cosmos. Many beliefs and rituals revolve around the ancient tree of Brittany. We can speak of dendrolatry. I don't know, it's a good good pronunciation, dendrolatrie. For example, the camel oak has a reputation for curing locomotion problems. People put shoes on it. Over cure skin problems, we own piece of clothing that have touched the disease. There are also many virgin trees. Virgins appear and disappear over the generations. We find many ancient trees on aristocratic estates. Generally free-growing, they are symbolic of a power. The species are often exotic, a sort of must-have. Some of them thought to be the first to have been planted in France, such as the tulip tree or monkey puzzle. They demonstrate, like Asterix and Obelix, the Brittany people were great explorers. Several of them are associated with historical events. One example is the Liberty trees planted during the French Revolutions, towards the end of the 18th century. They include oak and lime trees. Other trees, such as the chestnut trees on the right, are associated with French king, as here François I, François I. A final category, probably my favorite, includes palaver trees. For example, the tree in the middle, nicknamed the gossip tree. The tree is a social place where people talk. For example, since 200 years, a village meal has been held every year under the oak tree on the left. All trees are often located near a communal space, such as a well or an oven on the right, a yew tree. As you can see, there are no ancient trees in Brittany that have grown far from man. There are no natural trees. The common feature of all these trees is that they have forget close links with mankind. So we can ask ourselves, why have these trees been preserved by several generations of man and woman? What are the cultural reasons? I have been thinking about this over 20 years. I find an interesting way of reflections in the writing of the French anthropologist Philippe Descola, professor at the prestigious academic school named Collège de France. He has founded the chair of anthropology of nature. He was especially influenced by some other French philosophers and anthropologists like Claude Lévi-Strauss or Marlot Merleau-Ponty. We can speak of a French school of anthropology. His main book, Nature and Culture, Descola showed that the oppositions between nature and culture is not universal, but Eurocentric. The idea of nature, unique and universal, is to Western cosmological conceptions. It results from a specific historical development of a mixed influences. We can speak, for example, about the Greek philosophy, which start with Aristotle's classifications of animals in a table according to criteria like body, wings, legs, or fins. Or, for example, Christianity, which defines the transcendence of man in relation to the physical world. Humans have a supernatural divine origin. They are singular beings higher than plants and animals. The nature and culture dichotomy is based on the divisions of the world between values of culture and the facts of nature. It is on these great divisions between humanity and the world of nature that relay the academic divisions between natural science and humanities. The originality project of Philippe Descola is to develop a comparative approach of the diversity of the possible relations with nature throughout the world. To overcome the Western oppositions between nature and culture, he considered the oppositions between mind and body as more universal. All his arguments rely on the contrast between interiority and physicality. The interiority refers to properties commonly associated with the spirit, soul, or consciousness, And the physicality, in contrast, is material. It is the organic dimensions of human or non-human, the body. So, the scholar conceived a conceptual scheme that distinguished 4 possible combinations of distributing spiritual and material properties to beings. He called these combinations ontology, or modes of identifications. I will try to explain the 4 ontologies and illustrate them with portraits of ancientry in Brittany. Are you okay? First ontology, naturalism. Naturalism are differentiated by the interiority, but we find same physicality. For example, every entity is composed of the same atoms and is governed by the same physical laws. This is not a religion, but a materialist and scientific view of the world. Naturalism believes that interiority is unique to human, placing man above non-human species. I have also not found any example of tree conservation through this Eurocentric ontology. But, yes, in animism, the difference between living beings is their physicality, but the interiority of all entities is similar. Animists believe that non-human entities, plant, objects, animals, have a soul that has intentions similar to those of the humans. For example, American Indians, Pygmies are also animists. So an example of animist conservations is the Lannion green oak. In Lannion, a town in the north of Brittany, legends say that the green oak in the courthouse ground is one of the oldest of France. According to a tradition, the tree was planted during the 15th century. In 2020, a controversy over the extension's work of the old courthouse illustrates an animist mode of conservation. In danger of being felled, the tree was partly saved by the interventions of the Druids. They organized a ceremony bringing several hundred participants. This ceremony to take this living creature, like animist, into account was a success. The local authority take the tree into account in its development project. Another example of animism can be seen in the Plougrescan yew tree. The tree has a strange cavity. During the 19th century, the famous Impressionist painter, Maurice Denis, we said it's a sacred painter, he guessed a black virgin with a child in the cavity. Today, these visions reinforced the value of this tree. Third, in analogism, living things are distinguished by physicality and interiority. According to this way of thinking, the world is a collection of elements in equilibrium, which is unstable and disparate. In this belief, we find the notion of chain of beings. Analogism is dominated by relationships that manage difference and heterogeneity, such as the transmissions of the importance of protection. So, one example is the old oak, the eternal father, the surname, has watched over the woods of the Château de Brignac. Badly treated by time, it was broken by a storm. His owner has decided to keep it. Today, it continues as a part of the natural cycle of the forest. It provides shelter for other creatures that depends on dead wood, mushroom, invertebrates. In a way, we can say probably that the Vetser program is part of this ontology of analogism. In totemism, there is no difference. All species, human and non-humans alike, have the same interiority and physicality. This belief developed around a totemic cult around a common interiority between groups of humans and non-humans. I think for veteran trees, is probably the most important ontology in Brittany. 3 examples. First, I speak about Clegerec's peer virgin. Since the 16th century, the virgin have been invoked to encourage abundant pear harvest to make a pear cider. Polychrome wooden statues, known as pear virgins, have been invoked in several chapels in the country, in the town, for several centuries. They resonate as a totemic heritage, the expressions of a history, a climate, a geography, and a traditions reinvented over generations. I can also mention the Millennium Yew trees at Pommery-le-Vicomte. It has accompanied more than 40 generations of men and women. According to traditions, its main function is to guard the dead. A 19th century folklorist Anatole Lebras said that the yew allowed the celestial ascensions of the disappeared. When you think with a Philippe Descola point of view, we discover other forms of totemism. A lot of trees have been preserved because of their local identity. Okay, I finish. A sort of family tree handed down from generation to generations. To conclude, Stefania. I think this anthropological contributions about trees is interesting. Is it interesting with the climate change, living with trees will be increasingly vital for humanity. Beyond nature and culture, understand our links with trees participates in the progress of living beings. It can help us to conserve veteran trees, but also to encourage new plantings in line with the collective imaginations. Thank you very much.